Hey guys, a quick disclaimer before we begin. There was a technical problem with the video recording software we used. Thus, if you're listening to this on YouTube, the visual feedback will be a bit sluggish. The audio quality is, however, unaffected, and we hope that you can enjoy this as the fun podcast that we intended it to be. What's up guys, this is Jock, and today we're going to do something brand new that's never been done on the internet. It's a revolutionary novel concept. We are going to have a Season 40 Winners at War draft with some of the people from Survivors of Africa Season 7, Island of Secrets. First up, you know her as the SABC from our season, South African born Chinese. And she's also known for a person who has questionable taste in who she aligns with. Ting Ting, Season 40 Winners at War, are you excited?
I am really so excited, dude. I don't even have words for it. That's how excited I am.
I'm glad you're excited. Next up, we have a fellow Season 7 person, also a Ta'alo member, a super mom. Meryl, the kids, are they asleep? Are they gonna barge in here saying they need band-aids, or are we good to go?
Listen, I have got those kids under lockdown because since Survivor, I've learned how to actually rule the roost.
Ooh.
So they're, yeah. But it's so good to be here with you, Jockey and Ting Ting Ta'alo.
Yeah. And then a person who's not a Ta'alo member, but you've got him in your ear if you listen to a lot of East Coast radio. That's Mike, the best placed person on this panel. Mike, how are you doing, man?
I was doing really well before Meryl decided to single out the fact that I'm the only non-title member here. So I feel ganged up, and I'm not gonna lie.
Just for the people at home, we had a fifth person who cancelled really last minute, and also was not a Ta'alo member. I'm not gonna name him and shame him, but we should have been five, but before. Yeah, so what's gonna happen is we're gonna do a draft. It's gonna be a snake draft. We're gonna start Ting Ting, Meryl, myself, Mike, and then we're gonna go back and forth choosing people, drafting a squad for Winners at War. And then we've got a punishment for the winners and the losers. Ting, what is gonna happen to the loser?
Oh my word. Okay, so I sent Jacques this really awesome video of like the Survivor. I can't remember his name, but he was doing something funny, which was which everybody knows, coconuts are the currency and the food for survivors, and it's lovely when you get a taste of it off the island. So we're gonna drink.
Yeah, so we're gonna do I don't know if it's like 300 ml can or 500 ml can. You get them, and we're gonna just whoever loses, who gets the first boot's gonna down one of those coconut milk things. It's quite disgusting. I've smelled coconut once. Somebody told me like, "Hey, Jacques, you know, we're gonna have this coconut with your," and I'm like, I smelled it. And I'm like, guys, it smells like Samoa.
So it happened to me too. I had a viewing party when Survivor started at my house, and I decided to make it like really authentic, and I got like Survivor gear and torches and stuff like that. And then I decided to go to the shop and buy 3 coconuts. And before the episode aired, I smashed them up to make it a snack. And I had this weird jungle music playing in my ears as I was doing it, and I was taken back to a place of trauma where I suddenly had wet feet that I could feel, and a panic in my heart, and it was extremely traumatic. So keep that stuff away from me.
Yeah, no, I think we've got a very suitable punishment. And then we've got an undisclosed social media activity that we're going to do for the winner. We don't want to reveal it just yet. We need 1 or 2 things to move into motion. But whoever wins, whoever drafts the person that ends up winning, it might be a name and shame for the rest of the crowd. So yeah, do stay tuned. Okay, first up, Ting Ting, because you go first, we're gonna do this Catan style, like I said, snake back and forth. Ting, you've got the first vote. Yeah. Who are you choosing from these 20 amazing people as your first pick?
Dude, so okay, firstly, disclaimer, I'm sick, I'm post-call, and I had to do all this research because, let me not lie, some people I'm like, sure, they are like, they really hectic, they're the OGs, but of course, Asian, SABC, I've got to pick Yul. Dude, Yul is my man. Dude, you know how clever he is. He's like, I don't know, he's a lawyer, he did like lots of social media things, he's like got an IQ like, I don't know, above Einstein or something, and he's currently working at Facebook. So I think he played an awesome game. Really understated, really lovable guy, and just like an all-rounder. So yeah, Yul is number 1.
Yule's a good pick. Like you say, he works on Facebook. A lot of people are saying he's a real sleeper to win the season. I can't fault you for that. Yeah, that's a good pick.
Yeah, that's a disgustingly good pick. I'm so upset with you, Ting Ting, because like you couldn't honestly allege a better Survivor player. I mean, that guy was so chill. He never sweated the entire season. Like he just knew he was going to win from the word go. And I think that he's hungry to play again. It's been like a long time since he last played. Over 10 years.
Yeah,
like 15 years. I don't know.
So
Some of these
and one thing I also want to mention, a lot of his players, have played in the modern era. Some of them, we don't really get into the players. There's a lot of other podcasts discussing that. But Yule's one of the first people to really start using the idol, getting people to form an alliance, using the idol to blackmail people. So he's one of the first real people to actually he was a pioneer in how the game works. So yeah, great pick.
And also, he's got a really great moral incentive to win. I don't know if you guys heard the story, but he decided that he was going to be playing to try and ensure that if he won the $2 million, he would assist Jonathan Penner's wife. So Penner was a man who he used the idol to persuade to vote with him during the Cook Island season, and now if he wins, he's going to be donating some of that money, if not all of it, to Penner's wife and her development.
Because obviously they're very good. He's that kind of guy, yeah, for sure. Okay, Yule off the board. Next up, Meryl. Who are you picking?
Wow, this is really tough for me to do because since being in the game, I now view the game differently. And before I was just a fan, I didn't really break the game down. So I have people that I really like and people that I think are going to win. It's really difficult, but I really like King Spradlin. Is that how you say Spradlin?
Yeah, Kim.
Kim Spradlin. I like the way she plays, and she also has this sweet, quintessential American girl. She's pretty, but not too pretty. She's athletic, but not too athletic. She's just a nice, sweet person that I think in a game of so many overpowering characters that she will get by, and she's happy to lead by also just watching and waiting and looking how everybody speaks up. So I actually think she's also, one of those kind of silent workers of magic. Yeah,
for sure.
I think you're underselling her, Meryl. She's regarded as one of the best of all time.
I think a lot of podcasts, if you listen, and they've got saying, okay, best of all time. They put Kim as one of the top players, and then Rob from our season, right beneath. They play the same kind of game of just getting this alliance of people, nobody's breaking away, and we just run the show from beginning to end. So, Kim.
But in her.
Yeah, you can go. Yeah.
In her season, she didn't have many people that stood up. I feel that there wasn't enough strong, maybe similar to our season, is that although our season was a bit more aggressive in that way and in a dark way, but there weren't people necessarily standing up and making their own plans. She was in everyone else's plans.
Exactly.
So I do actually see similarities across the board, but she was not aggressive. If you look at some of the big players of the season 40, she was not aggressive in a gameplay. People almost let her win. I feel like it was here we go. Yes, here's the victory for you. No, she's brilliant. I really love her.
I really agree with that because I think Kim is such a likable person. I was looking at interviews and kind of her. They had these little interviews where they're what's the biggest twist? Why do you want to win? And stuff like that. And I just thought the way she said those things, she wasn't cocky. She wasn't, outright I'm gonna win or whatever. She was very, very just balanced and just so likable.
I really
she was one of my picks as well. So well done, Meryl. You got her.
What's really great is that two of the people we've spoken about so far are two one-time players and two one-time winners. So both Yule and Kim have played once, dominated their seasons, won their seasons, and never played again. So this is going to be such an interesting situation where you have these two players who are known as being some of the best players of all time, only ever played once, coming back to play against the quality players, and we can then get a better idea, a better representation of how good they really are. Because if Kim is to be voted out second, or Yule's to be voted out before merge, suddenly it casts a shadow of doubt on their previous games, and we can then say, okay, well, maybe their seasons weren't as convincing. But I'm hoping these two players do really, really well, and then we can, beyond all reasonable doubt, say these two are two of the greatest of all time. And we are completely overestimating players alongside them because they really have proven it in a big season.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%. Okay, so next up it's me. I've got two picks I really want. I'm gonna one I think's gonna win, one I hope is gonna win. I'm gonna go with one I hope wins first. and that is Tyson Apostle. I'm gonna Tyson Apostle board.
Of course, you know what? I didn't even pick this one for you because I knew. I mean, it's on my list, but I knew that you would have him. Like he's yours. He's your guy.
Tyson is one of the guys. I don't think he's one of the best players. I mean, he's made a lot of mistakes. He's missed idols. He's played 3 times, only winning on his 3rd season, which is blood versus water season. But the one thing I enjoyed about Tyson is he's so cool. He's got a lot of jokes. He's always clowning. You know, the whole game is just the dogs are going crazy. You know, they like Tyson as well. So he's such a enigmatic person when he just pulls everybody in with you know, you want to just get to learn him. And I think he's one of those people like very what you said about Kim. Not in the middle, just in the middle. Not too good, not too bad, not too arrogant, not too arrogant, not too strong. So I think a real middle of the road player, and I think a real sleeper to win.
Also, with Tyson, he's in a situation where he has lots of pre-game alliances which are going to be formed because he's good friends with Boston Rob. He knows lots of the cards from the game this season. Yeah, and I just feel that he occupies the middle ground because he's not that much of a threat, I don't think. Many people are going to be like, oh, Tyson is the master strategist, is the super challenge beast. He's kind of like really ambiguous and hard to get a read on.
Exactly.
So I feel like he's fluid enough to really get through some of those early votes. And Tyson's the kind of guy who can, once he's got some momentum, really show off his survivor prowess like he did during Blood versus Water.
Exactly.
So I think he's in the perfect spot. In fact, if I was to imagine anyone to win from the word go, I would say Tyson's probably a good bet.
Well, Mike, unfortunately I snatched him up right before, but you've got 2 picks back to back, so let's hear them.
You've really complicated my life, hey? Because like all my picks are out the window at this point. But I would have to say that I'm not going to put it past Parvati to win. I know that she's an enormous threat. She's been an enormous threat many times. And in Micronesia, she was a threat already. And she won without any real issues. She's also had time to mature. So we saw in Cook Islands, and she was kind of like the flirtatious character. And I think there's a lot to be said about someone who can harness their like most primitive aspects and turn it into such a strong trait in Survivor. So I think like I applaud her for season 1, but then she came back and she was better. And then in Heroes versus Villains, it's arguable that she might have been a better option to choose a winner than Sandra was. So I think she is someone who has always been with her back against the wall, and I think that she is someone who could potentially win the season. And then I'd also, I mean, this is the point where you got to choose old school versus new school, because ultimately we've got the middle ground pretty much occupied. But I think Adam's going to go really far.
Adam.
I'm not a huge fan of Adam. Right? I'm not like, oh, Adam, amazing. But the way that Adam occupies a middle ground in this instance is going to be really interesting to watch, because he's someone who is obviously acutely aware of modern twists and how to handle them. And so, considering Edge of Extinction, he'll have that in the back of his mind. He'll think about, how to re-enter the game if he's voted out early, or he'll think about how to use that currency very effectively versus someone like Ethan, who last played, I think, in All Stars when idols weren't even a thing yet. So, like, it's, I mean, I think, like, he's in a really good spot.
Okay.
I totally agree with Adam. Like, I was doing some research on him, and I was actually looking, and he really wants it. Like, he has like a really cool backstory to it, where his mom had cancer, and he was so inspired by his mom, and he's such a super fan. So he kind of knows everything and how each player plays because he came so late. So I think he has a lot of advantage on that, and people, in my opinion, will really see him as the underdog because he's so young, and they've seen him play and stuff like that. So I think the big dogs are going to be like, these kids, whatever, and undermine them. So good pick, dude.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
I must say, people not high on Parvati and Adam, from what I've heard preseason, but Mike's, taking a risk. I think.
What I'm saying is, in Idol of the Idols, in episode 1, I told Doc that Tommy was winning. And who won?
You did say Tommy was winning. So yeah. Hold on. Okay. Next up, it's me again, and I'm glad that I can sneak up my second pick. This is a person when my wife and I watched Haley, when we watched Survivor and she won her season. I said to Haley, this is an individual who if she can play any other season again, I think she can win again. And that is Denise Stapley. I'm gonna jot in Denise. I think Denise is one of those people. Because she's a therapist. She's good at listening. Where I mean, we all know when you're in Survivor, everybody wants to speak. Everybody wants to make plans. It's living a dream. It's fucking going at a million miles an hour. And I think she's one of those people who are good at just taking a step back and saying, "Let you speak, I'll listen." And looking at the other names we have on the board, people, you said Kim is a slow player, but if you think of people like Tony and Rob and Sandra and even Adam, all people who like to, Tyson, they like to keep the game moving. And I think Denise is somebody that can just sneak by enough, win that 1 or 2 crucial immunities, and then get to the end and everybody's like, well, shit, we don't know how she got here, but, we need to give her $1 million check. So that's my second pick.
Yeah,
Also-
what I like about her is she she falls in the older person category, and not just that, she's very likable. She connects. I think, speaking to what you said about listening to people, she really connects with people. So I've got to agree with you.
Yeah, and she's a 6 therapist, guys. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Jock, I like how you said therapist. Like people are thinking, they chat about life. No. They talk about sex. That's what happens.
Baby.
What's really good about Denise also is that she showed in her season that she's someone who is very loyal. Because I mean, her relationship with Malcolm and her relationship was one of the most adorable romances, like friendships in the season's history, kind of like JT and Fishback-ish. And I think what made Denise different was that she was able to pull the trigger when it was necessary, and she was able to assert herself ahead of her peers. So I think she's a really outstanding pick. My only concern with her, obviously, is that it's known that she's a really, really, really good social player. It's quite fair and obvious that she's someone who is incredibly socialized. So when those votes happen, when sometimes they do happen, sometimes honestly, things are settled, and you then will go with an obvious threat. And those votes do happen in Survivor.
Yeah.
I feel like she's someone who your vote would immediately fall onto, because who knows how central she'll be to the narrative of the story. I don't know. She seems like she's kind of understated. So I think it's going to be difficult for her to find that the alliance that she had with Malcolm in the context of a winner's season. Because everyone else is playing at the same sort of frequency as her.
For sure. And also, last fun fact about Denise, the only person who has gone to every single tribal council of a game ended up winning the show. That is
Yes.
That's a good pick, actually, Jordan. Yeah, that's a really, really good pick.
Okay, Mary, you're next. Meryl, pick number 2 for you.
Pick number 2. I think this is probably my favorite winner. He's someone that I actually just want to I'd love to just hang out with him, and maybe we can propagate our plants together or something. I don't know. That sounds weird. That wasn't a pickup line.
Let's speak to Denise about this. She'll help.
Maybe it was. But definitely Wendell from Ghost Island. Oh my word.
Good pick.
He is so charismatic, but also so woke, that I think with regard to social prowess and how people connect, he's able to do just enough to get by, and the fact that he makes the camp life comfortable. Just he's extremely likable, extremely strategic, and very what's the word? Agile, like in challenges and things like that too. So he is really my favorite winner.
Okay.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think last year he came to South Africa. He was doing some really cool charitable work and stuff. So just outside of Survivor, even he just seems like he embodies what he is inside the game as well, which is really cool. And really, I think playing the game, it's very difficult to balance that. So really good pick.
Yeah, one of those people. I think he studied law, and then after a couple of years, he's like, "Screw this, I'm out. I don't want to do this for the rest of my life." So he started a furniture company. He's one of those people who really lived this, lives his dream. And I think Dante mentioned this to me when we were on the jury, chilling, watching the sea. He said, "Nothing in this world is as beautiful as watching somebody living their dream." And Wendell's doing that. So I think it's a great pick. Yeah.
There's something about Wendell that is also really interesting, is that he keeps it very simple. I mean, survivor people, we tend to overcomplicate the idea of strategy. Like, it's not that complicated, actually, if you think about it. There's not too much you're going to need to circumnavigate the game beyond social and like basic mathematical skills. It's not like you can break the rules that much, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Wendell is someone who never tried to be like fancy about things. He was happy to go to the end with Dom because he realized that if he were to lose to Dom, it would be okay because he played really well, but he also backed his own game. So there's something to be said about someone who's entering the game with that like a winner status of simplicity. Went in there, he played each situation according to its merit, and he was able to win without like really changing the game too much. Like, he used the parameters in the game around him really well, and he won. Like, I think there's something to be said about that in season 40 when everyone's expecting like this ultimate strategic season.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Ting Ting, you are up with 2 picks back to back. What are we having from you?
Ooh, okay, so let me quickly see my list. I had some extra ones. Okay, so Kim got picked off. I picked, my next one would be Danny Boatwright.
Ooh, Danny.
I think she is so underrated. I was just looking. She was in a much like the like older generation and the middle and the the new one. So she was in the older game, and I just think that she was so under the radar. She was so kind of smart and calculated that she even played the production. Like she kind of
That's
played.
the rumor. Yeah, that's a rumor.
Dude, she is epic. She is so clever and smart and sharp, and she's agile. She's also kind of within the older generation, I think, as well, with all the strong characters. She kind of falls to the person immediately who's understated again. So I think she has a lot of chances, strike and just.
So this is something to talk about there for a moment. So you mentioned that you play production. If you haven't consulted Sava Guatemala recently, basically what she did was she found that during confessionals, when she chatted to the production committee or the producers on the island, she found that they would like give hints away. So without meaning to, they would implicitly state that some truth was being discovered by them and them alone. And then Danny realized that she might give her game away by talking about her decision making. So she began to play it really dumb during confessionals, and that's the one time in the game you're meant to be sincere and being honest. And so for her, she managed to subvert the influence of production on her season, and won despite the fact that I'm pretty certain that every single editor hated her on the season.
They hated her because even when you watch, I watched a little clip of her. I'm like, this doesn't seem like.
Yeah, she seems tipsy.
Yeah, so.
I'm reserving my opinion about that. I think it's very easy to come and after the fact say, oh, I did X, Y, and Z. Yeah, maybe. But nonetheless, I think one thing to be noted, I think from this list of players, I think Danny is probably one of the least well-known players. I mean, everybody knows Rob and Sandra and Tom and Kim and Wendell, all these big names. When the list came out, then I showed my wife, and I'm like, Danny's one of the players. She's like, who the fuck is Danny? So that's something to be said of how low under the radar she is, and if most of the people at home don't know who she is, a couple of his winners, might have slipped her under the radar as well. So I can see her sneaking deep into the game. Okay, Ting, who's your next pick? Yeah.
One more thing on Danny. Sorry, one thing about Danny is that she played in Stephanie Shadow entire season, really. So Stephanie was someone who was like kind of her meat shield, and I think it kind of pioneered the idea about using someone as your meat shield, and it was later perfected by Jeremy. So I think like she's actually a really good strategist, and I think she might be really good at blending into the background.
I do agree. Okay, Ting Ting one. Give us your.
I get another. Ooh, guys, I think you might get angry at me, but anyways, I'm picking Amber Mariano.
Yes.
Amber.
Yes.
Guys, this deal that she won against her husband, like. She won everything. She won life, dude. She went on Survivor. She flippin' won Survivor. She won a husband. She won the $1 million.
She got a car.
She flippin' won. Went there and won everything. Can we just deal with her? She's just a flippin' winner. And also, she's 41 and she looks like she's not shy of 27. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So, Amber's I really think. Can you see that there's a trend? It's a woman win.
That's a brilliant pick. I think with Amber, like beyond the fact that she's obviously going to be a fantastic addition to the cast, on a personal level, it's so selfish for me, but I'm so excited to have that nostalgia factor of Amber, because I remember being like a kid, like a primary school, junior phase primary school kid, watching Amber win against Boston Rob. And like, that is insane to me that I get to watch in 2020 after having played Survivor. I get to watch her play again live. Like, I just think that that's miraculous to me. I don't think that she has a good chance of winning simply because of the fact that she's Rob's partner. Like, honestly, it's sincere and it's like heartwarming to think that she's playing again with Rob. But ultimately, how much bearing will they have on the season? I don't know if it's possible for them to even, under any circumstances, play from an equal, points of reference to everyone else. She has played twice. She's only won once. Doesn't make her like the most dangerous player there. But because she's related to Rob, because she's his wife, I think she's at a disadvantage immediately.
I do hear what you say. I just think that everyone is at a disadvantage.
True.
That's a good
as
point.
they start. Like, everyone is at a disadvantage, and so everyone is a threat for whatever reason. And I think the fact that, first of all, she's a mom of four, freaking, and she has to deal with Rob Mariano every day. I mean, that woman is a survivor.
Yes.
She is a damn survivor, and I'm so looking forward to the nuances that she's going to add to the game because of that nostalgia. I mean, when people ask me what's the most romantic, I'm like, oh my word, season 7 All Stars is the most romantic story you have ever seen in your life. You don't understand, guys. Like, this is the most. And so I am so excited to see what she does, and the fact that she got by with Boston Rob in season 7, but I think that during the season he was a lot more convinced of this whole little love thing than she was. Like, at points she was playing him, like, and you can see it, and the fact that she can play people but still be friendly, and she won because she was more likable. I almost think she's underrated for that very reason, that people assume that she'll be one of the early boots because of her connections to her husband. I'm really excited about her.
Okay.
She played season 2. I mean, that's just like Survivor royalty. Like, that is so exciting. She played in the Australian Outback when Survivor was whack, and they used to
Yeah,
actually
they can't do Survivor in Australian Outback right now, and there's people.
Guys, save the koalas. But seriously, like, I find that so interesting that they're playing together. So I want to see if she will stab him in the back. I feel like
I think they will both. I think they'll be ruthless and say, let's just win at all cost.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I mean, it's $2 million, guys. I would be like, I'll stab you in the back. We can talk about this when we get home, and it will be some pillow talk. It's fine. Let's chill.
Yeah, that's where you found Denise, and you're like, Denise, we got some problems. Can you help us out? Okay, Meryl, you're next. Who's your third pick?
Oh, sure, guys. This is hard because all my people have been chosen.
I've got one.
Okay, so I
hope you're not stealing this
actually never watched her season. We're still on women here. I love it because there hasn't been a woman winner since Sarah. Just by
and not a vote. There's been no woman final tribal council participant has received a vote in, like, I don't know, like a lot of seasons, like
Can
more
I
than
give
5.
you guys a lesson on statistics? Okay. You guys at home as well. Statistically, I think a guy's going to win this season, and here's why. This is the stats. We've got 10 people, right? 10 guys, 10 girls. One of the girls is Sandra. Now, Sandra has played twice, so nobody's going to let Sandra slide into this game for a third time. No, the snowball's chance in hell. So Sandra's going to go early, right? That means from the get-go, we've got essentially a 9 versus 10 setup. And Sandra is the person, her famous motto is, the queen stays queen, adios, I'm the queen. So if by some reason she gets to the end, and it's a 50-50 coin flip, she's going to be like, you know what, person X, I don't think you deserve to be the queen, I'm going to vote for the king, so I have a king to join me on my throne. So immediately there's a vote going to one of the guys. So that is just a statistical evaluation. I'm saying, as things stand right now, a guy has a better chance of winning than a girl. But that's just my my engineering brain doing some math. Meryl, back to you.
Thank you. Wow, shock. Wow. All right, thanks for that.
I like the wow.
I don't know. I think your stats have some emotion in them too. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, so my winner pick, I never watched her season, unfortunately, but I've watched like every freaking challenge she's been in, every confessional, everything. I just need to watch her season because I'm not like you fools and geeks. Like I have kids, guys.
Savage.
I have a real job, as Jacques would say.
I don't. I
I don't have a
I have
real
a
job
job.
either.
I've got nothing.
Uh, Mike, you're doing so well. Even just to watch you, speak, and it looks like you are used to having cameras on you, even though you speak on the radio. You should
Okay,
really.
Mr. Survivor, you played Survivor. Like, we all have the same status here, guys. We all know how to act in front of cameras. Let's just...
No.
No. You bring something
I'm sorry,
special.
maybe you less so, but the rest of us definitely have some idea.
You bring something special to this square table here, Mike. Good to see you. All right, so Natalie.
Each other. God.
Natalie.
You have your own mic. I love it. Okay.
Yeah, so Natalie, like I said, I didn't.
yes.
I
Great
didn't
pick.
watch her season, which I'm so sad about. I'm still kind of catching up on on many different seasons. I started watching the Australian one as well, which wow, I didn't know the episodes would be so long, but the pace quickens eventually. I was just like, what are we doing here? But so I'm still keen to watch her season. But I like her. I like the way she strategizes. I like the way that she could kind of flip and say, oh no, I didn't know. No one explained things to me. Just things, social politics that she could play really well to win. And when the time came that she knew what she had to do as well. Like I really appreciate the moves that she's made.
Middle, I've got a question for you on Natalie. Have you seen the video of her during the challenge when she was spitting?
Yes,
That was
I think that's
unfortunate.
also why I'm like, okay,
That was
cool.
unfortunate. That's the line.
That is
was
the
unfortunate.
line. The exact line is that was unfortunate. Oh, such great.
Okay, so for Natalie, like Natalie's the same as Yul and Kim for me, because she's obviously like a one-time player, and she was so good. It was like blatantly obvious. In fact, she was so good that what was it? Reed who voted against her. Someone voted against her on the jury, and that person only voted against her because
Allocated
he
second
didn't want the person that he didn't like to be second, so he voted against the person who wasn't Natalie, because he didn't want the person he hated to come second, so he wanted Natalie to be first. Then I forget he was with Jacqueline to come second, and then Missy to come third. So that just speaks to how dominant she was. He knew she was going to win, and he was able to vote for someone else just to avoid Missy coming second in her season. What is interesting about her is that she really was not influential in making decisions until the very end, and when she made them, they were perfect. Her vote out of Baylor was one of the most successful vote outs of all time. Like, she idled her out like a champion, but she wasn't required to play in the early stages. Really, she was kind of like hidden in an alliance, and
Mike,
she wasn't really.
She perfected the game that you tried to play, man.
Yeah, she really did. She absolutely did. She was like me, except good. she knew what she was doing. So she really was exceptional, and especially when you consider that her twin was voted out first during the season.
Yeah.
It kind of just shows you that she had to subvert lots of her natural inclinations and play the game really strategically. So it's going to be interesting to see how she starts from a position of dominance, from a position of power, from a position of respect, and how she's going to find her way into the game where she might have to make some moves early on. How will she do in that scenario? This is just what makes season 40 so enticing. She's a one-time player, a one-time winner. What comes next?
Guys, as a friend of mine used to say, guys, this is Survivor. So this is Survivor. So we're gonna see Survivor.
We're
Okay.
gonna see Survivor, guys. Also, with regards to Natalie, she also played. She played. What's that thing that you go around the world in? What's that game?
Amazing Race.
Amazing, right?
The Amazing Race. She played twice. Yeah, she was on it twice. It's so crazy, dude.
Yeah,
Like, so she's
well
she's
traveled. And she's
very
from Sri Lanka, if I'm not mistaken. I think she's born in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, she is.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
guys,
don't know, but she,
my third pick. I cannot believe that this person's still in the list. I'm gonna maybe you can't see. I've got this as my number 3.
Hold up. Is it you, Jork?
It's me. That's my number 3.
Oh, okay.
This person, number 3, is still in the game. I cannot believe you guys have skipped this person. Number 3 is my one of the people I think who's played the best winning game, and it's debatable, but that is Jeremy. Who's going to
That's
take
my
him off
next
the
pick.
board?
Damn it.
Jeremy, a person who has played twice, once in Blood vs. Water and the second time in Second Chance. Jeremy, a great player, an all-round player, good at challenges, he's good at finding idols, and I think one thing that distinguishes Jeremy's game from a lot of his other players is when Jeremy played, you know, Mike, you alluded to this earlier, he started the meat shield strategy, but he was good at not only keeping meat shields up, but really protecting his alliance. You know, there was a time he played the idol for Fishback, you know, so I think he's one of those people who, if you know if he's in your corner, he's going to have your back. And that's something that's on this, that's a rare commodity on this list of people if you look at the name. So I could see people aligning with Jeremy, and I can see him being a bit more cutthroat and slicing them one vote short. And yeah, I'm surprised that he's still in the game.
You see, Jeremy's interesting for me because during San Juan del Sur, when he lost, he played really, really well, but it was clear that he didn't play a great game. He played really well, but he wasn't like he didn't play a winning game. And he took those lessons and he really pragmatically implemented them in his next season. And something that's hard to quantify, something that's hard to talk about, you can't like attach a statistic to it. But there's something about Jeremy, which is that he isn't a people pleaser. He's someone who's very self-assured, he's very confident in his abilities, and so he doesn't try and like mince his words. He speaks plainly and he commits totally to things because he's confident in himself. And that's a very attractive trait as a person. Like, people are attracted to that sort of thing. It communicates a sense of security and permanence and like trust. And I think in Survivor, where you are in this really deceptive, outlandish, even though it's been in the same place for the last 10 years, like foreign place, it's a very, very strange environment to be in. Survivor, like, it's just weird. So to have someone who's so self-assured, who's so like driven in his motivation to win, it's a very attractive trait, and it makes it impossible not to align with him. He's just such a likable character.
For sure.
I almost think he's too likable.
Do you?
I think his story is too good. And
I'd agree.
like that, I think that he was on my list initially when I saw, because he's one of my favorite players. But if I were to hit a beach with someone like him, I'd be like, oh, hells to the no! You've got to go. And so that's my only concern about him. Is I love him as a player. Second Chances is my favorite season. But I'm kind of just concerned for him in the same way people are concerned for Amber.
Okay. Sure. No,
Yeah.
that's valid. Okay, Mike, you are up with your third and fourth pick.
All right, so I think a lot of the superstars have been taken out, and I'm happy to say that there's one left over, and that's Ethan.
Ooh.
I think Ethan is in a really, really nice spot. He's almost forgotten. He's kind of like how Letitia was in our season when no one really took her seriously. Except that he's actually a really
Except that you found an
strong
idol and an
survivor player.
advantage.
Yeah, so I mean, people are gonna be like, "Oh, sweet, here's this guy from season 3 that he won in Africa, and you know he was sick between season 8 and season 40, and he didn't play again." It's kind of like the old guy in the tribe now. That guy has got incredible social skills, and while I think in his season Lex was ahead of him in terms of like understanding Survivor strategy, like for me, Lex was on the ball during Survivor Africa. Lex van den Berg was the man who really like got to harness Richard Hatch's initial thoughts and implement them nicely. So I think that he was benefited a lot by Lex's alliance with him.
And he
But
has
I think
played
that it's
twice.
sorry.
And he has played twice. He knows what it's like to go
Yeah.
out there for a second rodeo.
And he played well in the second time. So I think obviously the initial threat is that he's so likable. People are going to be like, oh my goodness, Ethan, you are just like the nicest guy ever. Of course people will vote for him. However, it's also an all-winner season. So is that enough to really draw that much attention to yourself when you're playing with the likes of Boston Rob, with the likes of Sand, with the likes of Nick? I don't know. I think he might be able to get through. And then speaking of him, I don't want to. I know I'm doing 2 men in a row, so I feel kind of bad about that. But I mean, they're both really good players. Nick, I think Nick Wilson is someone who, like, we saw
Nick
him panic on day
Wilson.
3 because he realized he was out if they voted when Pat was injured, and like straight away he managed to spot his weakness, address it in that moment, and then played really, really, really well. He pulled the trigger on some massive blindsides. I think the edit kind of like overemphasized, maybe not overemphasized, but it certainly attributed many of the big moves to like the likes of Carl, the likes of Davey, and that's great because I'm sure they were instrumental in that. But he was really good at like keeping to an alliance, and if that alliance betrayed him, he was very quick to respond to it. So with Christian, really good friends, he found a quirky way to keep the line strong. He then saw Christian as a threat and decided to cut his throat, and it happened. And it was sort of like clockwork that he won. So I think he had one of the most understated but most effective winning strategies in maybe the last 5 seasons or so.
I must say what I like about Nick, and I think it rings true to a lot of the winners, is when you have adversity early on in the game already, you learn what it takes early to get further. Like the first few tribal councils, if your name is on the chopping block, I'm talking about a CPA that can talk a way out of being voted out. Do you know when we mentioned players that have been to every single tribal council, things like that. So you learn the social politics of the game, and also the like how that world that you create, because you create a world outside of the world where there are different rules and there's a different hierarchy, and so someone like Nick learned that quite early. He played from the bottom. He didn't even play from the middle. Like it was like he was properly at the bottom, and he was able to think on his feet. And I think that kind of fluidity and quick thinking is maybe going to give him an edge going into season 40.
All of the points you just said, I've mentioned to Shannon Gates when I spoke to her about that. We saw the same with Adam at the very first tribal council he went to. When he was blind, so he was left out of a loop, and then rising up as a phoenix from the ashes to win the game. Okay, next pick is mine. This is also a pick that's a real sleeper. I can't believe she's still in the game. I will go with the person who said the first time she played like a cop. The second time she played like a criminal, and that is Officer Sarah. So I'm just gonna
Sarah.
put that out here. Sarah. I think Sarah's a great player in the sense of she's been there twice. She's been there once, knowing what needs to happen, how you can throw a game away. She's been there second time, conning people out of the advantages and challenges, and sitting in the position to pitch a winning case to the jury. Slight drawback I have for Sarah is she and Tony has had some beef, and she's played with some of these, that might, how that can go. But all things being equal, I think she's an underrated player, and I think she's somebody who can go deep.
Cool.
One of her hamstrings for me is that during her season, it became quite difficult to watch. Like I loved the first few episodes of Game Changers, and progressively it got harder and harder to watch towards the end because the flame.
I've heard that of other recent seasons as well.
The basic, for me, like I think she's understated for that reason, is that it wasn't like the most charming season to have won, but she beat a lot of really strong players during that season. She beat Sandra, she beat Malcolm, she beat Sari. Like to win that season is not a joke, and I think it adds credentials to her name. The question is then, when there is a sort of undecided, ambiguous vote, are people going to be like, hang on a second, Sarah won a return season with past winners. What are the odds that she'll be able to get through this vote? That's where her main risk lies. But otherwise, she's also understated. She's like a really reserved person, so I think she's a really good contender.
Okay.
Don't you think that she's quite like strong, like with regards with
her?
No,
dude, she's a police officer. She'll beat you up.
No, but
like your scope art.
And Tony, I just remember, I can't remember which season it was that they played together in.
Cagayan.
Cagayan, yeah. And how she is so quick to pick up little things. Like how she knew Tony was lying out of his ass.
She knew he was a cop, yeah.
Ooh, Tony wants to do all these funny things, and I think she's going to be the one calling him out. So I'm gonna find that, I find that very interesting, how they're going to keep their mouths shut about each other, so.
That's a whole different layer that's been added to the season. Okay, Mary, you have pick number 4. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 picks.
Wow.
Left. 6 picks left.
Totally. So Sarah was my next.
Skis.
Okay, so I haven't watched. I watched the season, Sophie's season. What season is that? I can't recall.
South Pacific.
South Pacific.
No, it's not Redemption, definitely.
Yeah,
yes, South Pacific.
Yeah. The Redemption Island was in the season, but it was South Pacific, yes.
She, I actually watched an interview with her, and it just reminded me because I watched it when I was at school. That I think that was the last time I watched that season. And
That's crazy.
yes, I'm your elder millennial. Thank you.
An elder millennial.
Elder
An
millennial.
elder millennial. Oh,
I
this is
totally
brilliant.
am.
Do you
I
have
must remember
superpowers? Can you
this.
like conjure pens from where you're sitting? Pen, come to me, or like I don't know. You have like special tricks where you can like
I am
summon
not
Nancy's
even
dance
kidding.
music as
I'm
you walk.
working off a notebook. I have a pen.
I'm on my phone.
An
Look
elder
at my
You
list.
millennial.
see, I can't do that. Like I can't. I need a pen and paper.
In my head, guys.
No.
All in
I'm
my
also
head.
pen and paper.
All in your head. There are many
Guys.
things. All right. I mean,
Wow.
so I like her. I like. I guess. It was just recently that I heard her speak about the game and how she has needed to adapt because the game has become more social and more fluid in that area, like social and strategic, than it is about who is a challenge beast, who does this. Like that's more what it's become, and that's not necessarily wasn't her strong point when she played, but she needs to kind of learn that now. And I think that kind of self-awareness after so many years have passed, um, I just I was intrigued by it. So she is one of
Yeah.
one of my later winner picks.
I love that point, Meryl. I think that's such a great point. Is her self awareness. Interestingly, in her season, it was a very unglorious win. Like Jeremy's
Yeah.
was remarkable to see him win. You know, like Boston
Yeah.
Rob to see Boston Rob win was very dramatic and awe inspiring. Even Nick, to a certain extent, had that happen. But for her, it was kind of like a really gritty, uncomfortable season. The tribe sort of like picked off the opposition tribe one by one, and it was just like not a fun time for anyone. And she still managed to win that season in a pretty emphatic way. So it speaks to the fact that she's a really strong player. But how will she fare in a season when there's going to be fire? I mean, I expect there'll be fireworks. How will she do in that
Yeah.
situation where every week there's a level of uncertainty? She's untested in that. Maybe she makes a big, strong alliance like the family were in South Pacific. Maybe she'll be the coach-like figure and will create a massive cult-like
Coach.
alliance. We don't know. Coach was so good in that season. That's the thing, is that she beat someone who's really good. But for me, like, I'm reluctant to put her as a winner pick because I don't know how she would fare in a season that is as dramatic as a modern Survivor season can be.
Yeah, and the last thing I want to add about Sophie, she's played on, I think, might be incorrect here, one of the last seasons that has not had a tribe swap before the merge. Thinking, by the way, the merge is this thing where if you get to a certain point in the game, you stay there up until the end of a game, and then you can actually cast a vote for whoever wins the game.
Can we kick him off? Guys, can we kick Shark off? Shark, bye!
But
Shark
Sophie
is
has
not
not
my
played
winner
in a
pick.
season with a tribe
Okay,
swap
but
pre-merge, so
the tribe has
I'm
spoken,
hesitant to see
okay?
how she maps that out.
No, and I love her because she's a med student, so
Whoa.
what's
Not
up?
anymore. She's still a mid
Now she's
student.
a doctor. If she's still a med student, then she's
Yeah,
a doctor
dude, that was
student, and I
ages
was.
ago.
I think she's still a med student. I like searched up today, and I was like, oh, are you still? I don't really know. Maybe she's a doctor now. I don't know.
Something else. Sophie played on our beaches, guys. Sophie played on on Laume's
On Lama
beach and Manamala's merge beach in Samoa.
Really?
Sophie used our beaches.
100%.
Well, we used hers, I guess.
Yeah. They were there
You're
first.
her beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We used Kim's beach. Kim Spradlin played on the same beach as us.
Really?
And so did Sandra and Boston Rob. Yeah, we all played on the same beaches. Some of them.
Oh
Not
my
all
god,
the same. Some of them.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a fact. You can go back and check those seasons out. Okay, next up, speaking of doctors, it's you, Dr. Wong, with 2 bigs back to back. These are the last 2,
Two
and
bigs
then
back-
you are
Wow.
out.
Guys, is it really the last 2?
Yep.
Only 2 left. Oh man. So that doesn't. Okay, so I did. Yeah, people picked off all the ones I wanted.
No, there's more than 2 left.
There's
No,
more than
it's
2.
her.
There's 5 left, but she has 2 picks.
Oh, 2 left. Okay, got
Oh,
you.
yeah, there's 5 left. Just quickly tell me which ones are left.
Ben, Michelle, Rob,
Tony,
Sandra, and Tony.
Oof. Oh gosh. Okay. Well, I pick Michelle.
Okay.
Because Gerald, she's quite. She's a very young one as well. She won. If I am correct, just 1 second.
She
How
went
long?
Bronze Beauties.
In 2016.
Cool,
She's
right.
currently 20. She is into like media marketing, whatever. And just watching her game, she's also a very understated person. I think when she became like, she slid her way up into the rungs. And then when she got there, I think I can't remember who she voted off, but there was like a really she voted off somebody who to the council, to the what do you call, to the jury. And he said rude. He was like, oh, you're
not doing yourself any favors now, Ting Ting. Just saying.
Huh?
What's those where those people come together? What is it called?
Don't you get past the merger?
Do you remember?
Once you survive 4 votes, you go to the merger.
You know what?
Unity Italian.
Jacques. Ask Jacques why I'm like this.
Listen. This is a side note. I saw an audition tape on YouTube of somebody saying he's really wants to be for Survivor Season 8 Africa, and he says he really wants to be on Survivor Season 8 Immunity Idol, and his whole video is Survivor Season 8. I want to be on Immunity Idol. I'm like, that's not the name of the season.
Wow.
That's not the name, dude.
Throughout the entire time, he used to call the immunity chat, like, he used to call every single tribal council tribal immunity. Like, even Final 3, he's like, I came into this game understated, now I'm at Final Tribal Immunity, and I was just like, no man, enough. Get it right. Tribal Council.
Oh dear.
Okay. Ting, you have Michelle. Who's your last pick?
Just a spirit. Like, there isn't. There's some big people, but yes, it's Tony.
Yeah, these are the good players.
These are good players, but yes, Tony and Sarah. They have such big targets on their back. Like, I don't know who to pick now, because I didn't put them in my winner things in my winner list because.
Sandy, you mean?
Just a spirit. Dude, how many do I have left now?
One. This is your last pick. Ting Ting.
Rob, Sandra,
Tony, and
Ben.
Ben.
Tony.
Ben. Oh.
I don't know who Ben is.
No one knows who Ben is.
Even me, I don't know who Ben is.
I don't know who Ben is. I'm not picking Ben, guys. Shame. He's nice, but I don't know, eh?
So one of the questions about Ben is how legitimate his win is, because it almost seems like a golden hand from the Survivor God planted idols in his pocket every time he had his day coming towards him. So there's questions about how legitimate his win was. I think he played really well because he played from the bottom all the way through. But he isn't. He's not a popular winner.
I'll pick. You know what? I'll pick Sandra because she is the queen. She's the queen. She won't go far because, come on, guys, who's gonna let her win the third time? Because I deserve to win as well. But yes, she's a firecracker. Everybody knows about her. Like, she's a legend.
Yeah,
like, do I need to even?
Targets just to
also, I think, it depends on how she approaches the season, because in Game Changers she was like really audacious about things. She was like, oh yeah, the queen stays queen, and she was really aggro about her gameplay the whole way, and it certainly led to some sick moves. I mean, the way she ousted Tony was epic, and her use of Michaela as a tool was unbelievable. But I always say that in Survivor, it's like a loaded gun. You have a certain number of rounds you can take shots with, and then all of a sudden you might run out of ammunition. And she took too many shots too early. So how does she approach it now? Does she try Shepard in a big alliance? Can she somehow manage to find a way to blend in as she did on Pearl Islands and on Heroes vs. Villains? Because ultimately, like in Pearl Islands, she was basically invisible till the end. And she won because she had kept a jury pretty happy. Yeah. So I think if she can find a way to merge those two personalities, Sandra in Game Changers as the celebrated, revolutionary, aggressive game that ended it like before the merge, or these two wins that she managed to pick up are being like really nice, being sassy at times, but also just being a really strong social player. Can she merge them and come up with an amazing Sandra who can win the season? I think she's got the skill to.
I think she does. I think with regards to what you said, you know, like more and more I'm thinking now, I think she can win just, really, really just accepting herself and just being like, I'm a boss, everybody knows I'm a queen. Maybe she must play the mother role and kind of did in the last season, giving tips to each person, whatever. And kind of in that way, they're like, ooh, okay, it's the mama figure, like almost like a CPA figure. But we can see how far she can go with that.
Okay.
But yeah.
Meryl.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to talk on Sandra.
Yeah.
Sandra's strategy is, as long as it's not me, and she will do anything anything,
Yeah, that's true.
you know, to so that it's not her. She makes up stories. In a way, her and Tyson's game is similar because they some make up a thing. Um, so I don't know, like if you can create big conspiracy around someone else, like you can go pretty. She can avoid, like you say, big moves in the beginning. But the fact is, she is the only two-time winner, and I don't think, like Rob, I don't think she stands a very good chance of winning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even wow, the people that are left, it's really tricky. Between Tony and Rob. Tony gives me so much anxiety just to watch him. Like I had to like take breathers in between. Like I can't. I'm just like, I don't know. I think you need to go for a nap or something. We need to
drink.
Make you something just to calm you down. So I actually don't enjoy watching his erratic behavior. So I'm gonna go with Rob. I think Rob is more cool and calm, collected. I think that Rob still has a few more tricks up his sleeves. I think we've seen him every round kind of perfect something, or learn some other revolutionary, or not, some game-changing thing. So I'm quite keen to see how he only gets better, right? He doesn't get like worse. He only thinks of some other crazy thing. I mean, Tony as well, spy shacks and spy bunkers, but I can't watch him. It's just too much.
Okay.
So I'm going with
Boston Rob is a really, really good pick because, one, as you say, he adds something to his game every time he plays. I know that in Redemption Island,
Well, I mean,
it was like the most one-sided game in history. He went in there as like this one of the two attorneys. He was this like, incredible threat, and somehow managed to get these people who seemed like perfectly reasonable people to buy into this like cult and do some weird stuff. And he made Philip the ultimate goat, and like he was just so good at it. It was weird. It was almost like we all know the feeling of when Rob looked into your eyes and made you think that you were maybe able to fly. I don't know, but same sort of vibe. He was so persuasive to these people, and I think that he will have something up his sleeve because he wouldn't agree to come back and not have a chance to really show himself in a new light. Maybe he's doing it for Amber's sake. Maybe he's saying like, okay, I'm going to be here because Amber deserves a shot and she needs support, and maybe that's why he's doing it. Maybe he's doing it because he's the Survivor poster boy. I don't know. Okay, but he must have something up his sleeve. And also with him, a thing to consider is the role of Edge of Extinction. Like Rob, when he needs to, can pull something out the hat physically, and I think he might really have a chance of returning with Edge of Extinction. And also, lastly, like you speak about his game-changing tactics. I mean, even recently, it wasn't recent, it was long ago, but the last thing he did was play The Amazing Race, and it was a challenge where they had to like eat an insane amount of beef, and it was impossible. Like it was virtually impossible to eat it, and he was dying. He was like, I can't do this. So the punishment if he didn't manage to eat the beef was that you had to wait 4 hours. This man managed to convince the other teams to wait out the 4 hours with him, so no one took part in the challenge, and it basically nullified the entire effect of the challenge because he couldn't eat the meat himself. Somehow he managed to convince him to do it. So he's got incredible social skills, and he could basically talk someone off a cliff.
I have one question about Rob that nobody has answered yet, and that is, what happens when Rob and Amber make the family visit?
The kids come.
That's what I'm thinking, because Tyson said something on one of his species and stuff that he's signed up with some shit wizard paperwork stuff with CBS that he can get his daughter onto the set. If that's gonna happen, I think. But then you've got 4 kids. Who do you choose? It's worse than Sophie's Choice. Oh.
Wow, the eldest. They did, but they brought now in the previous season. They brought a kid on.
Yeah, but I mean that was.
We don't talk about that. We don't talk about the kid. Shame we don't talk about.
It's bad, eh? It's so bad.
Okay,
that's why I just
said
the previous season. I'm not gonna name names.
So essentially, I get the pick, and then I pass the last person on to Mike as the last pick. So I will go between Tony and Ben. I will say let's see if lightning strikes twice. Let's see if Tony can do it again. I'm picking Tony as my number 19 pick. Yeah, I think of all the people we've spoken about, I think Tony is somebody who, he won with a big value the first time. Then, he got his ego checked by game changers, so it might say, listen, yeah, let me just revert to what worked the first time. So maybe he learned some lessons that he needed to learn. Maybe he thought of some crazy ideas. 100% I'm with Meryl. This guy, it's fear-inducing watching him play, but at the same time, I'd rather watch people play I'd rather watch people flame out and lose than watch a couple of boring people play. So I'll pick Tony as my last one. Mikey, that means you get the as we say in England, the Big Ben.
I think it's a good concept. I think I'm winning here. I think getting Ben is actually a really useful tool. Ben is someone who is not overly popular. I mean, clearly he's very unpopular actually, but he's not someone who's regarded as being a potential winner. And I've seen like nothing but positivity for most of the winners, but I've seen some people like quite reserved on the opinion of Ben. So I think it puts him in a good position where like he's not an immediate target at all. He clearly is attuned to new school survivor tactics because he managed to avoid being voted up, being at the bottom of the lines time and time again. So I think he's got good assets attached to him. And I think he is someone who socially, I mean, he's a Marine, right? That's what he's a former Marine. So yeah, he's got like a dominant personality. Obviously, you'll have that. And in the season of all winners, I think when you are lining up against the likes of Jeremy, Boston Rob, Sandra, Poverty, you need to have an inner metal. You need to have a strength inside of you that says, hey man, I can find a way to get this done. And Ben seems like the character to do it. And wouldn't it be so romantic, like the person who no one really is considering a chance to win would pull it off? I think it's a really good concept.
One last thing I want to add that I think swings in Ben's favor a lot is if you look at something like Edge of Extinction, and let's say Edge of Extinction hypothetically has nothing. If you don't catch anything, you die, and you have fucking Adam there and Ben. Ben's gonna survive longer. And I don't think Adam's got the survival skills which you mentioned of Ben being a Marine. So maybe he has the chops to pull a return into the game and then idly wait to the end. We've seen it before. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with Doc. I think with the addition of Edge of Extinction, some of what we are predicting now, I don't think we actually factored the island in. So it's going to be very interesting because I don't think it's going to be so straightforward.
Okay.
Look, people hate it, right? People are like, oh, Edge of Extinction, I want to never watch Survivor again. Guys, I loved it.
Really?
I loved it. I thought Rick Devens, and even like so Chris winning obviously sucked for me because I loved Rick so much. He was such a great character, but it wasn't the most unsatisfying win in history. That for me was Natalie White, no doubt about it, because the fact that Rattle didn't win the history, but otherwise, like Ratley was, I mean, lovely person, but she shouldn't have won that season. But I think I really enjoyed it. I think it adds a whole cool layer of complexity to the game. I think obviously it calls into question what Survivor actually means, because like the whole point about Survivor is you are meant to be voted out when your vote is when your flame goes out. You are meant to be out of the game.
Yeah, we know that.
It changes. Thanks. Sorry, Ting. You're right. I'm an idiot. But my point is, like, it changes the nature of the game. But I think in this season it could work really, really well. I think it. Although, in saying that, watching Joe and Kelly Wentworth on Age of Extinction last time was just depressing. Like, it was just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It was just like, no, just end it now. Please quit. This is horrible to see.
Okay, guys. We're coaching in on almost an hour and a half. Let's quickly go through the list. Ting, you have Yul, Danny, Amber, Michelle, and Sandra. So you got hanging on the estrogen commando to win that one. If you have guessed the best by Yul.
There's Yul. What else does she need?
I have Yul. He has enough man in him.
You've got Yul and some heavy hitters. Meryl, you rocking Kim, Wendell, Natalie, Sophie, and Rob.
Excellent.
Also a good pick.
That's awesome.
Then you heard it here first, guys. The winning team, the person who's not gonna be one of the first boots, and also take home
Or plays idol.
2 million. Do you want to go down the road, Meryl? Do you? The
Too soon.
team we have that's gonna win, we've got Tyson, Denise, Jeremy, Officer Sarah, and Tony. Definitely, guys, this is a good team. And then finally, for Mr. Mike, we've got Parvati, Adam, Ethan, Nick, and Ben. Okay.
That
Nice.
face, dog. Oh, that judgment.
I think it's quite good actually.
Look,
Meryl, I
Oh,
think you
with
got
all
the
the
best pick.
boys.
Meryl got the best pick, guys.
Yeah.
The best.
Yes, yes.
What can I say?
Yeah, yours are the best.
Okay. Guys,
Oh.
that's it from our side. Ting Ting, any last words? Any social media stuff? Anything that's happening in your life that you want to plug? Now's the time. Is the Ting
It's
pose
almost
still a
like
thing?
you're like- It sounds like you're from Hot Ones. You're like, look at that camera, look at that camera. What is happening here? What is happening there? Social media things. I'm trying to. I think this is your hand to force me to post some more videos on my channel.
I'm just gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. Ting Ting, I met up with Ting Ting like 6 months ago. She's like, Jock, we need to do this thing. I've got this great idea. We're gonna make this video. We're gonna go to Camp Spay. We're gonna do something. I'm like, Ting Ting, I'm there. We do this stuff, and that was 6 months ago. So Ting Ting's hard at work at getting the editing right. That's her thing.
She's getting back at you, Jacques. Simple.
I
Every
just-
time like you wasted hers.
Wow. Wow.
Wow! I didn't think of it that way, but that's a good comeback. That's a good comeback.
Mary,
Yeah. So
Mary, I'm obviously Mom Supreme, but what I am, yeah, working on some things for actually taking Pilates to schools.
Ooh.
So I'm so stoked about it. I don't want to talk too much because, people listen and they take
Shut up,
things.
Meryl. Enough.
Meryl's
But
got
I'm pretty excited about that. So that's going to roll out in the next couple of months, which is so cool. I'm really excited about it. And yeah, fam is good. Yeah, 20 plenty, guys. 20 plenty.
20 plenty. That's a new one. First time I've heard that phrase. 20 plenty.
like
That and an elder millennial. Meryl's got so much wisdom.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Mikey, if you're not speaking on radio, what's happening, man?
Nothing. I'm just speaking on radio. That's what I do. It's just radio, guys. That's me. That's entirely me. Pardon?
face at a point.
Oh, thank you. I needed that. It's been a rough week. Anyway, you can find me on social media at it's Mike VEE. So it's Mike V. And then also listen to my East Coast Radio, which, by the way, is actually a pretty common practice amongst many international super fans. And it's always like quite interesting to be on air and then have like people from New Zealand or whatever listening to my show. And it's like it's really sweet.
Oh, that's quite cool.
The community's been very lovely on that front.
That's quite cool. Yeah, I mean, it's daylight thing, so it's during their business hours.
Yeah, people are like invested, crazy invest. Like I'm way too shit for them to listen to me, but they're still there anyway. So.
Oh, never, Mikey, never.
Okay.
Yorkie, what's happening with you, pal? Give us some
Um,
juice.
Sure, I have. My life's been a roller coaster. A lot of things have been happening, and then it's unhappening, and then it's happening again. But at the moment, I'm taking one day at a time. I'm not forecasting my life too much, unless when I work, then I do forecast because that's what I do for a living. But you can get me. I'll probably be tweeting after the Winners of the War. After each episode, I tweet one or two funky things about the episodes. If you want to hear that, you can get me on Twitter. It's at SharkBTweetin. I do it Instagram, but it's more just pictures of me and my dog, so you can find me there as well. Okay, guys, that's it from our side. We're gonna put this list up, and then it starts 12 February, right, on CBS.
Yes.
And then 12 weeks later, 13 weeks later, we'll see which of these four of us has a winning team. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Thanks you for listening. Check it out, and yeah, please do leave comments and your predictions down below in the rate slide. If you've got a team, if you can choose only 5 people, which 5 would you choose? Which one of the 4 of us do you think has the best team?
Meryl.
Secret is me.
Move with Meryl. Move with Meryl.
Meryl.
Find me on egg.
After the category against Meryl.
Titillizing thing, bro.
Meryl has it. Guys, let's be honest, Meryl has it.
Meryl has it.
All right, guys, and
Let's
that's
see.
it from our side. Yeah, chat to you guys soon. Cheers. Have a good one.
Bye.